Power BI has quickly become one of the most popular business intelligence and reporting platforms because it gives organizations the ability to turn raw data into clear, interactive insights. Instead of relying on static spreadsheets and manual reporting processes, companies can analyze trends in real time, drill into details instantly, and make faster, more informed decisions. What also makes Power BI so powerful is its flexibility. It can pull data from multiple systems, centralize reporting, and present information in dashboards that are easy for both executive and operational teams to understand and use. At Roghnu, we've taken that power and combined it with our deep experience in financial and operational reporting to create a suite of Power BI report packs designed to help organizations get meaningful insights faster. In this demo, Drew Mary, Roghnu's business intelligence developer, will walk through 5 of our Power BI report packs and show how they help organizations improve visibility, streamline reporting, and make better data-driven decisions.
Thank you, Mike, for that introduction, and welcome everyone to the demo. So let me start off by saying that Roghnu has 5 report packages for Power BI. So there's executive, operations, data anomalies, projects, and our latest one, inventory. So there are a lot of reports and dashboards to look at. For the sake of time, I'm going to focus on select pages in each report pack, and then maybe quickly click through some of the other pages just so you can get an idea of what they look like. So here, starting out, we're beginning with the executive report pack. What we're looking at here is a CFO dashboard, and basically anything that's a dashboard, by which I mean there's going to be a lot of visuals on a page as opposed to simply just a table. We're going to have a mobile version of that, so you could download the Power BI app on your phone, on your mobile device, and be able to access these dashboards on the go wherever you are. So here you can see across the top we have our various account groups, and these can change. So during onboarding, you can change out different account groups if you don't want to see these ones. So this isn't static. You can change it. Again, you do get access to the PBIX files, so you can edit these however you see fit. And then you see below we have prior metrics. That pertains to this period comparison slicer, which currently is set to same period last year. So we have Q1 2025 selected. So this prior is looking at Q1 of 2024. However, I can change this to, wait for that to load, change that to previous period. All right, so now the prior metric is looking at Q4 of 2024, and you saw the color formatting change as well. So we added color formatting for ease of interpretation. So you can compare the period you have selected to either previous period or same period last year. We also incorporate a lot of tooltips throughout our reports and dashboards. Again, just make it easier for the end user to navigate and understand what they're looking at. So if you hover over a visual and you see a question mark icon, just hover over that, and that provides you a tooltip, something about that visual. And then sometimes we have information icons that you see here on a dashboard page. If you hover over that, it'll explain what the page is, give you a little bit of context. All right, again, we have line charts here with comparisons, actual budget prior. These also, you can change out the metrics here, the account groups, whatever you want to see. You can switch those out during the onboarding process. So really valuable, helpful dashboard for the executive level. All right, we also have financial metrics trend analysis. So here we have important financial metrics. Again, I can hover over this, look at the information icon, and this tells me how this metric is calculated. All right, so the idea here is you'd select your months, year, and then you see the trend in the background, you see the metric, and then you have your comparison, in this case, same period last year. We have related pages to this one. So we have a monthly financial metric. So same concept, same layout. This, however, is comparing to last month and last year. And then yearly financial metrics. You select your period here. And then again, you have your metrics that compare. And then the comparison is prior year to date. So not everyone is going to want to see it the same way. So we provide these flexible options here on how you want to see your data. Then, of course, we need a profit and loss report. So here we have our account groups, and you can collapse this to aggregate it, expand it out again. You have differences in absolute and percentage values. Again, color formatting for ease of interpretation. We also incorporate a lot of drill through capabilities in our reports. So maybe you want to know what this 235,000 pertains to. You can right click and go to drill through actual, actual amount drill through. And here you have the underlying data. And then just navigate back. And similar concept here with actual versus budget, same kind of layout. Again, you can drill through on this one as well. Then we also have a trial balance report, a balance sheet report, and a decomp tree analysis. And the idea here is you can change, you can select whatever metric you want to see. Maybe you want to look at revenue, and then just expand it out however, basically whatever makes sense. So department, maybe we want to look at project. Well, let's expand that out. Click on project, that gets expanded out. So, and you can expand it out further. So you can see the flow of whatever metric you select. Okay, let's navigate. Let's go back. We'll now look at the operations report pack. All right, so here, operations, we have sales, we have purchasing, and we have accounts payable and accounts receivable. So recently made an update to this one where that basically pertains to the sales and the purchasing side, because those heavily rely on a particular field in the data that is customizable to the company. We had to basically build that and that flexibility into the sales and purchasing dashboard. So basically during the onboarding process, you would click on the visual and select the DocPar ID that makes sense for your data. Not everyone's going to have the same DocPar ID. So rather than hard coding that into the measure, requiring the end user to change DAX measures, we built that filtering into the visual itself. So all you have to do is change the filter. And then the titles of the visuals will update based on what is selected. So here in the Ops Executive Summary dashboard, again, we would have a mobile version of this as well. We have here what an executive would typically want to see: quarter to date figures, year to date figures, and then current year figures broken down by vendor and customer. And then to the right here, you have AP bill amount overdue as well as AR invoice amount overdue. And then those are further broken down by vendor and customer respectively. Or we'll look at purchasing dashboard. Now, basically anything you see here for purchasing, we're going to have a mirror image of that for sales. Just obviously the data is going to be different. So here we have a lot of purchasing metrics across the top. You have trends, you have vendor stats, and again, you can so in Power BI, you click on a visual or cross filter other visuals. I can click on Massachusetts department here, Department of Revenue. That's going to cross filter the visuals, including the map. It's going to zero in there. I can unfilter it. You can also drill through on these data cards. So if I want to see what these 4 fulfillments are, I can right click, drill through, fulfillments, drill through. And here we have the doc number ending in 82, 83, 84, and 27. And then I can just navigate back. All right, we have purchasing trends. The idea here is you're comparing the current year figures to the previous year. Again, you would select the visual and just change out the filter for the metric that makes sense for you. And then we have these metrics broken out below by vendor, and we have both previous year and current year with percent of previous year. We have a requisition analysis, a purchasing KPIs. Again, you can hover over these and it shows you how this is calculated and what exactly it measures. Why is this valuable? So you have the KPI over time and then overall. We have purchasing details. The idea here is you're just exploring your data. You can filter it however you see fit. And you can even export this to a CSV if you need to. All right, then we have a vendor matrix. So this essentially breaks down the metrics by vendor. Again, we have the same thing for on the customer side, for the sales side. So we don't need to look at all the sales because it's the exact same as the purchasing, just showing sales. So we'll jump ahead to the AP dashboard. So here we have key figures, key metrics across the top, total vendors, new vendors prior month, and so on. Then we have AP aging. So it's broken out by the aging days, showing invoice amount and invoice count. And then you have upcoming payments, again with the amount and the count, and that broken down by the age or the day groupings. And then we have top 5 vendors by amount due. Now we've incorporated drill through here as well. So if you want to see the invoices associated with these vendors, I can right click, for example, Global Properties Inc. and go to drill through AP vendor bills. And here I see across the top, on the top table, I have overdue bills. And on the bottom, I have open bills. And so you can see those amounts. You can see due dates and the number of days overdue. And then just navigate back. All right, and then down below, we have AP aging trend count. That's the legend there is for the day groupings. And same concept here, we have AP aging trend amount. So similar concept, just one showing count, one showing amount. And then we have bills paid across time. Typically, you'd see a trend here, not seeing one there. But then we can navigate to AR dashboard. All right, so we have a similar concept, similar layout here as accounts payable. Here, we have AR aging, upcoming payments, top 5 customers. Again, you can drill through on those customers to look at those invoices. Then you have AR aging trend count and amount. And then here we have invoices paid over time. And that concludes the operations report pack. So we'll navigate on over to data anomalies. This is a really interesting one. So as it sounds, the purpose of the data anomalies reports and dashboards is to alert you to anomalies in your data. Now, those anomalies may be fully understandable, justifiable, but anomalies are anomalies. They could potentially be signs of fraud. So those are things you want to be aware of, and this provides you a means of investigating those. So really good for diagnostics. So here here we're looking at the Benford's law stats, and all of these data anomaly reports, we have information icons if you want to understand what it's showing. So here, Benford's law helps detect anomalies or potential fraud in data sets by showing that in naturally occurring numbers, smaller leading digits appear more frequently than larger ones. So here you can see in the table, we have the expected frequency and then the actual frequency in your data. And then you get a flag based on how much that actual frequency varies from the expected frequency. So that flag could be tight, loose, or warning. In this case here, we see there are two warnings. These two vary significantly from the expected frequency. Now, again, doesn't necessarily mean there's fraud, but it's good to know that there is this anomaly in the data that can be investigated. All right, and then we can look at prior period entries. So are people going back into prior periods and updating transactions, updating books? You probably want to know who's doing that, when they're doing it, why they're doing it. So this keeps a record, a historical record of that, so it can be investigated if need be. Another really good one is segregation of duties. Now, typically, a small company, you might have the same person create vendors and customers and also pay bills and invoices. But in a large company, typically those duties get segregated. So this essentially tracks that segregation or tracks when the lack of segregation. So even if the same person is doing it, at least you have that historical record that you can look back at. Or another interesting one we can look at is the GL account variance. So the idea here is we do we basically historical statistical analysis of your data to come up with lower and upper limits. And then when the value is outside of the lower and upper limits, it's obviously anonymous. And so those anonymous instances get logged here. And we've calculated here the nearest limit delta. So if it's below the lower limit, its nearest limit is the lower limit. And then we calculate the delta from the lower limit. And then, vice versa if it's the upper limit. And so that gets tracked here, color formatted and ordered for ease of interpretation. Similar concept here with AP bills exceeding limits. And then we have AR invoices exceeding limits. And then another interesting one we can look at is data set user list. Or actually, let's do the user transaction count. Yeah. So here on the left side, we have the data set, then the user. On the right side, we have the user and then the data set. So whichever way you want to look at it. But here we see that Emma has over 3,600 transactions in the GL data set. Maybe that's normal. Maybe that seems like a lot. It's good to know when or the number of transactions that any user is making in a data set. Another use case for this report is you could be alerted to someone who's making transactions in a data set that they ought not have access to. So there could be some credentialing issue at work there. And certainly the data set user list could also be used for that. So here you see all the users grouped by the data set. So there's a handful of other valuable data anomaly reports. Again, helps you be aware of any anonymous activities or data in your data sets. So with that, we can navigate on over to projects. So here you have the project summary dashboard. Again, we have a mobile version of this. And this shows your project portfolio. So all the projects in your portfolio grouped, broken out by various dimensions. You have broken out by category, by type, by department, class, customer type, customer, and project manager. And then here we see it's stacked further by the project status. Now we can switch that. So if I click on this, now those just become regular bar charts. So they're not stacked by status, just a full-on count of the projects by these dimensions. And that's really helpful if you want to drill through, say on all MC operations reports to the project details. Now I see all 11, and then I see all the details for those. So here in this project's details report, we have all the relevant information you need: percent complete, begin and end dates, in progress tasks. You have estimate and actual hours. And you see here the actual hours get formatted red whenever they go above the estimate hours. So just to alert you that, hey, this project is it's taking longer than expected. And then you have your various amounts as well. And we have set this up to allow for parent and parent-child projects. Not everyone uses this, but some do. If you do, and you have child projects associated with a parent project, you'll see child projects down below here. You could click on a project, and that'll filter the child projects table down here to only show the child projects that are associated with that parent project. All right, so I can navigate back here. See, if I switch this back and then I right click, drill through project details, I'm only seeing 6 projects because I right clicked on this segment of the bar here where there's 6 projects. So we provide flexibility here. You can switch and make it easier to drill through on. Okay, we can also look at the project timeline. So this shows project duration, and you can expand all. So now we see the tasks associated with each project and the duration for each task as well. And then you see the progression bar. And then of course you can filter as needed. All right, we have parent project tasks. This is probably something a project manager would make use of. So you have project specific metrics here. You select a particular project to look at. You have your metrics across the top. You have the gap analysis of the estimate versus actual hours by task. And then you have the planned and actual workdays by task as well. So we have this for the parent project, and then also child project, same layout here, just for child. Then you have resource allocation. And basically the idea here is you can investigate to see how your resources are currently allocated. Maybe there's a project that is over budget. It's taking longer than expected. And you have other projects that are wrapping up, maybe some resources that have a lot of capacity, and you might want to move those resources around to get that other project back on track. All right, then we have historical costs and revenue. And the idea here is looking at the historical distribution of costs of project revenue and revenue. So this could potentially be used as there you go, see a little more data there. But depending on your data, this may be spread out a little more. And then down here you see the quartiles, first and third quartiles, and the median by project type. But again, the idea here is you could use this to help you plan costs and revenue for new projects that are related to historical projects. So this is our project report pack suite, and that wraps that up. And then finally, last but not least, we have the inventory report pack. All right, so here, executive dashboard. Again, we have mobile version of this. So everything that an executive would typically want to see: overall inventory value, average inventory turnover, gross profit margin, gross margin, all the good stuff. And then you have inventory aging by last received date. So you could really investigate inventory that's really getting up there in days. You want to get that moved. You have inventory metrics by warehouse. You have on order, on hand, on hold, and available. And then down below here, we have inventory value over time. And finally here, top 10 items based on quantity on hand. But you can click on value here, and now it's based on value. So you can change how that is seen. Okay. And then we have inventory summary. So this basically summarizes your inventory by warehouse and item. Inventory aging. Again, summing inventory. You have costs and quantity on hand by the period. And then that's broken out by item and warehouse. You have sales inventory overview. So basically, anything you see here for sales, we're going to have a mirror image of that for purchasing. So sales inventory, your inventory basically being moved out, being purchased, or purchased by customers. And then you have, of course, your sales inventory details, where you can filter, investigate, and export to CSV if you need to. And then, of course, you have your purchasing version as well. And that concludes the inventory report pack. And that concludes this demo. So thank you for attending. And Mike, you can take it back.
Thank you, Drew. As you can see, Roghnu has put a lot of time and effort into putting these report packs together. And the great thing is they're ready to go to work for you now. If you're ready to leverage intuitive visualizations to make stronger, data-driven decisions, Roghnu is here to make getting started easy.